Injuries are unavoidable in the world of sports. Every athlete has suffered one at some point. The rush of adrenaline makes them ignore any pain inflicted on them. The human body is unpredictable. Even for top athletes with world-class trainers and lifestyle setups, health problems and deathly injuries are very common. In this video, we'll look at some athletes who lost their lives in front of fans. Let's take a look. First off, let's talk about the most popular WWE star, Owen Hart. Hart incorporated costumes and different characters in his act throughout his glorious 90s era. In 1999, he was set to make an appearance at an event called Over the Edge, held at the Kemper Arena in Kansas City. He was all about flashy stunts, and his appearance was supposed to be unveiled in the ring with a wired system. But unfortunately, the grand entrance turned into a horrible accident when the ropes malfunctioned, and Hart fell from a height of almost 80 feet. The show's host announced the fall as an accident, not a stunt, and the 34-year-old lost his life the same night at a nearby hospital. It's never easy to get over such unpredictable deaths. Next on the list, we have Sam Akwaraji. He was a native Nigerian who traveled to Europe for his doctorate but ended up in the field of sports. Before returning to his hometown, he played for many European soccer teams in the 80s. He later joined the Nigerian national team called the Green Eagles and ended up qualifying for the World Cup against Angola in 1989. Akwaraji collapsed to the ground during the 1990 World Cup and was declared dead within seconds. The 25-year-old soccer player died from an enlarged heart and high blood pressure. It's tragic to see such a successful player die at such a young age due to unforeseen circumstances. Fran Crippen is another athlete who met a tragic end. He died due to a heart abnormality at the very young age of 26. Crippen, known to be an excellent swimmer, attended the University of Virginia and won a bronze and 2 silver medals from Goodwill Games and Pan American Games, respectively. Later, he switched his path from pool to open water swimming and won a silver medal at the open water event of the Pan Pacific Championships 2006. Who doesn't like success? And if you've tasted the flavor of success, you just want to run after it more. Following the victories, Crippen was a key contender in the 10K series in 2010, organized by FINA, an international swimming body. His sad demise occurred during the swimming contest, where Crippen was nowhere to be found at the finish line. Many swimmers found the water conditions particularly hot, resulting in Crippen suffering from exercise-induced asthma. Moving on, let's look at a racer from Belgium. Wouter Weiland was part of the Luxembourg team Leopard Trek. Wouter took part in several races such as the Tour of Spain 2008 and Giro d'Italia 2010 before joining the Tour of Italy in 2011. During the third lap of the race, about 20 miles from the finish line, Wouter lost control of his bike and tripped, falling right on his face. Because of the fast speed, the crash caused him to fall hard, resulting in a skull fracture and bleeding. The racer became unconscious and his heart stopped working, so no adrenaline or atropine doses worked on him. He died at 26, leaving his wife and an unborn baby behind. Another death due to speed was suffered by Ayrton Senna. Being one of the best Formula One motorsport drivers with over 20 years of experience, he won an amazing number of races, totaling up to 41, including the very famous Monaco Grand Prix. Senna was born and raised in Brazil and was considered a national hero and a treasure for the nation. In 1994, on the Imola circuit in Italy, Senna took part in a race where his car jerked to the right, landing him in a crash towards a wall. The cause of the jerk was an issue with the steering column. The impact of the crash caused several fractures to the skull despite the helmet protection. Senna's death was an event of mourning for the people of Brazil, and his funeral was telecasted live on television. You can imagine his importance in people's hearts when Brazil's government declared a 3-day mourning period. Next up, let's talk about a basketball player. He transferred from USC to Loyola Marymount University, where he became an unforgettable legend. Yes, we're talking about none other than Hank Gathers. Since childhood, he had shown superb results at virtually every basketball game, with averages of 32.7 points and 13.7 rebounds per game. Following this, his senior year was no less, with an average of 29 points per game and 10.8 rebounds. In college, he was the 11th leading scorer with a potential career path in the NBA. With such a booming career, he neglected his heart problems, particularly his irregular heartbeat. He was unstoppable at the heights of success and participated in the West Coast Conference Tournament of 1990. During the game, he jumped for a dunk and ultimately came slamming down to the floor, but he couldn't get back up. Later that day, he was announced dead due to idiopathic cardiomyopathy, a disease of the heart's inflamed and scarred muscle. Scott Kalita is a name much known in the drag racing world. You may think drag racing is limited to movies like Fast and Furious, but you'd be mistaken. It's a professionally endorsed sport that is very expensive to operate and super powerful nitrogen vehicles. Kalita's name was already quite popular in the branded cars market, and his father, Connie Kalita, was known as the bounty hunter. Following his father's footsteps, Scott made his name in the market by winning 2 titles in a row at Top Fuel. 46-year-old Scott died in a catastrophic accident when his car experienced an explosion and and crashed at 300 miles per hour within a second. Now, does a sword fighting game sound dangerous to you? Well, it sure does to us, but despite the danger, the sword fighting was considered an elite sport and very much enjoyed by its niche audience. Imagine looking at athletes poking metal swords at each other's faces. Yikes. Vladimir Smirnov, a Ukrainian-born man, became quite popular for this skill set, winning bronze, silver, and gold medals in the 1980 Summer Olympics. During the games, the fencers are well equipped with safety gear such as a vest, chest shield, customized gloves, and a metal mesh mask for the face to protect them from any injury. During a competitive match in 1982 between Bear and Smirnov, Bear's sword broke and went through Smirnov's face mask, tearing his eye socket and injuring his brain. These were the most severe injuries ever encountered in this game, resulting in Smirnov's death a week later. Next up, we have Chuck Hughes. He was an American footballer considered a tremendous shining star of his time. Hughes worked as a receiver at Texas Western and later at the University of Texas. During a preseason game in 1971, Hughes suffered a heart attack and collapsed in the locker room. Like all other athletes, Hughes was also ignorant of his medical condition and was eager to return to the game. During the same year, a match was played between the Lions and the Bears in Detroit, where Hughes entered the game as a replacement. During the final few moments of the game, Hughes suffered a powerful hit by the Chicago defense but didn't give up. A few moments later, he landed on the ground while running and was unconscious. The doctors and physicians couldn't revive him as he endured an injury to the spleen and a heart attack. Lastly, highlights the worst death in a deadly game. Popularly known as boxing, Ray Mancini, also titled Boom Boom Mancini, was a legend of his era. He walked in the footsteps of his father, Lenny Boom Boom Mancini, who didn't fight for long due to a World War II injury. In 1980, Ray became the world's lightweight champion, and in 1982, he came head-to-head against the rising star of South Korea, Duk-Koo Kim. The fight became a huge deal and was most awaited by its audience. The event was transmitted live from Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. Both the fighters were strong enough to keep the game going until the 14th round, and during the same round, Ray Mancini bashed Kim so hard that he landed back into the ropes. Kim landed on the floor very hard, and that was the last time Kim was seen standing, as he didn't get up after that. Kim was declared dead in the hospital a few days later. That's a wrap for this video. If you'd like to share any missed incidents, feel free to mention them in the comments section below. And if you found this video informative, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in the next one.